Telantawar. We had been down here so long at this point that we had become quite good at living here, and not just getting by on chance anymore. We had managed to save most our books, and knowledge however. Though we had lost much, we did want to save as much as we could. We found a place to store what books and artifacts we could save, and we could all guard it. Lady Karash having died no more than 1 week back due to again, my failure. She was attacked by some eldritch-looking thing that was more tentacles than body. It was Talandra Dalanwar, a female who truly took charge. She began to organize us and draw us together. So she became the first leader or matron. It was shortly after our place was found we saw the folly. A dark dragon came in and was not willing to share. It attacked and was met with the onslaught I had never seen. I started to run forward to protect my people when I felt a hand on my shoulder and looked to see our new leader smiling. "Stop and look, my sword and shield. Look and marvel at your family." 100 Drow rushed forward to protect us all. The whole cave went dark. Not like night or anything you could imagine, but a dark that was beyond that of night. 100 mad Drow who had nothing to lose. If anyone or thing could have seen what I saw in that absolute black, they would have cried. My brothers and sisters jumped in and out. The dragon could not see, even dark vision is rendered useless by the darkness of a drow. So it flailed wildly. My brothers however played in this darkness and knew it like no other creature alive. It was how they hunted and lived. They were the dark. Time again it missed Drow to be hit again by more from another angle. They raged and they darted, the Drow over and over. The men had been attacking not only with swords and spears. Rope had been tied to the spears and the dark dragon had just realized its folly, but it would be too late. It fell with a loud thud and they were upon it. One last assault for both sides. The dragon lashed with all its strength against the bonds which held it. The Drow jumped in with all they had, some stabbed the sides close to the belly, others went for the eyes. In the end the dragon let out a roar and final move. Hitting the cave walls it shook the now unstable ceiling and it fell, taking the dragon's own life, and in the end 83 of the 100 return. They were broken and battered. But they stood tall. When it cleared we saw before us a large place and a chance to live. Here we would start over whatever it takes. I would help my people survive, no, I wanted them to live. Well, we had just come out of the battle with the dragon and did well. We felt unstoppable and we saw what we would come to know as Barrendon, the great caverns of the south. The first great homeland of the dwarves. We did not care and I swore no matter what I had to make sure they lived. I had failed so much and so, I followed the matron and did as she said. She and her priestesses talked to mother while I listened, silent in the back as she was told to go and learn their power and strengths, speak words of silk and wait. Others who you thought lost will come here. So a few went close and watched. I did as well and what I saw would be hard to believe. There were carved stairways of such beauty that led everywhere. Columns held the ceiling in places. They were 40 feet and carved in ornate patterns. Stone, marble, and metals that one could lust for, gold and adamantium. Works that gave off steam and drove other devices that done who knows what. I knew what had to happen and told the matron myself. I said that my warriors and I had to attack. She frowned and simply came close. A tear was forming and she started crying. My dear sword, my sturdy shield. I would send you now and lose you. I am disappointed in you. Do you hate me, do you hate your people and goddess so that you would leave us alone? To die? She stepped back. Shook her head. No, we will wait for more of our brothers and sisters. 3 days passed and sure enough more Drow had been found led by other females and even males. It was a gift from Lolth and our spirits were raised. The Drow had come and in a part of the world below a darkness amassed. Or amassed as best we could. Full of intent and rage. Hate in the purest of forms. My people gathered more and more coming together led by our mother. The leaders gathered and all decided that the best move would be to act like friends. We would send a few and set up talks, most would hide far away and wait while the leaders went. I learned and watched my matron and her peers talk. I watched as she and they played for the upper hand. It was a dance with its own elegance. I was learning myself how to talk with people and get your way with words. How to make people think it was their idea. Soon a few leaders went, most were of small groups and males. I had no clue the true plans of my matron though and how evil and tricky she was really. So 10 leaders counting my matron and 5 guards for each save my matron who took only me. The perfect servant. We walked to the entrance to stand before marble gates of such beauty it took my breath away and waited. It was not long we were met by a dwarven guard. Though dwarves did not trust elves very much it was a hard start. However my matron spoke perfect dwarvish and after what seemed hours we were finally invited in. Barrendon was massive with room for us all. But not for both races. We were allowed to stay as lost travelers and the dwarves accepted what few of us there were. So few elves we can take care of any problem they can give. They would say under their breath and then laugh, never to our face. There is racism in every race, hate for others is as universal as death, the things we were called. I knew however the rules of life now. Say nothing. Watch everything. So I stayed silent. Months passed and I was growing restless. The leaders would often meet without us, their guards. I did not like this choice for my mistress, she being left vulnerable. The leaders however knew what they were doing and 3 years into our stay we were allowed to come in. That was when my matron stood and smiled as she spoke. My good family. The dwarves have said they will let us search for our lost members. They offer us home and those we can find. She turned to the dwarven king and bowed. She seemed so honest and pure as she continued. I for one want to thank you and show my appreciation with a gift. Handing the dwarven king a small chain with an ornate spider on it. It was so lovely the king smiled and nodded his approval. This I saw and began to see her plan. I almost felt sorry for the dwarves. That was the true start of the downfall of the dwarves. We continued to find lost drow who had found their way here a few every couple weeks. This went on slowly for months till 1,500 drow were found and reunited. It would not be long and we would attack. We knew their strengths and weaknesses and my matron and her peers were ready. I was sitting on a ledge far above looking over it all. I saw them the other drow as they amassed far away. Inside the other drow were getting ready as well. Down below I saw dwarves as if they were getting ready for combat. How did they know, I wondered. How did they see this coming? They froze as they saw those at the wall off in the distance coming for their home. A darkness in moved with purpose and climbed the walls, the gates it went everywhere. From inside the dark the screams of the dwarves that were caught by it could be heard. The drow swept through and left none in their wake. I believe some might have escaped but almost all the dwarves there died that day. My matron called me to her and began walking to the king's throne. I killed any guard that I saw as we made our way. At the throne room I swung open the door and some guards rushed at us. I was a killer with a purpose however and was far too fast and lucky. The guards dead she walked past me as if I were not there. Her eyes were on the dwarven king, fixed a stare that a spider gave its prey. The king fell to the floor grasping at the charm she had given as she laughed and sat on his throne. Thank you my dear king. I will be sure your name is told as the one who saved the drow. With that she kicked him from behind, making him sprawl on the ground. He scraped at the floor and tried to remove the charm, but to no avail. Finally he stopped, silent and still. The matron looked at me, saying, "Well, remove this thing from my throne room." Then leaned back. "We named it Telantawar. Here my people could live and grow. I had thought I'd done the right thing. Though we lost many to cave-ins, underdark creatures, and too many hazards to name. The Drow had finally found a home. Or so we thought. The Drow, my people, you see, had fallen to the shadows, so they harbored fear for each other. House after house began planning and plotting to get a hold over the other. Each wanted to rule our people, and the deception grew. I just watched as the magics, pacts and foul arts were taken to massive height. My matron was one of the most evil and deceptive. It would be a long time, however, I would see what she would bring on my people. We grew and prospered for a long time. The deceptions were small at first, discrediting one another. Shows of strength were frequent, and a few Drow would die from time to time. It seemed isolated on the surface, so good at subterfuge they have become. Accidents happened in the Underdark, and that was life. I have, however, got off the subject. In our new home we had settled in. Raids were made at times to the surface to take revenge on our surface cousins. That was what the leaders claimed. It was, however, only out of greed that they done this. Taking supplies and slaves. The in-house wars became slowly worse. So slow I did not notice. No. I did not want to. The houses and their leaders were divided and struggled for power. The day came when it could no longer be hid in the shadows, and wars became more frequent. Powers and creatures were unleashed and let loose on their rivals. In the end I saw the houses gather, and the final war started. Demons were sent in as mages let loose foul and destructive powers that shook the walls and ceiling. The earth roared and lifted, then fell, to do all the same time after time. I could only watch. The funny thing is, I did not even hear my brothers and sisters cry for help. I did not hear a single plea for any god or goddess. Those that did not escape died silently. They simply disappeared with no one to remember them. I did not run, I watched as the cavern fell and was consumed by the rock and marble. The Drow again had destroyed themselves. I thought in my stone and marble prison. I was alone again in the darkness, and I gave up. I would not die, however. I simply stopped, and there I stayed for what seemed forever. It was luck, I guess, that a Drow female came to look for whatever could have survived in the rubble. Digging, she found my hand and it moved. I don't know why, but she dug me out and smiled down at me. She was not like other Drow, her smile was warm and honest. She tended to my wounds and I healed quickly. She stayed by my side while I recovered and told me that the Drow had again moved to find new homes. That we were the only two Drow for some distance, but that after rest I could find them. I rested with her, helping me cooking what I caught, and even once healed, I stayed with her. She was very wise and taught me a lot. I made her angry as well, I could tell, but she would smile and correct me, calling me little brother. Of course the day came she approached me and said she had to leave. That there was still a lot she had to do, and that I still had to do. I wanted to beg her to come with me. I would have served her forever, I thought, but she stopped me. No, do not say a word, little brother. This is not goodbye, it is till we meet again. I knew she was right, I had a promise to keep. We parted ways and I went from city to city. Some would last, some would fall, but I recorded what made them do so. I moved for a long time, going between them, and did not stay in any one place long. -7600 Dr. Part 2. A Drow's Tale, The Descent End. Thank you for listening this far. I am trying and hope you enjoyed. I will try to put a new story up every 3 days. The next chapter will be a new character's story tie-in. On the screen you can see Alagariak the Drow, and in front of him is Lolta. I will do my best to show what main characters look like. If you have any request to see any other characters, let me know. I will try my best to make it happen.